Hey everybody, welcome into TexAgs Rewind presented by Yeti. I am David Nuño. He is Nick Savage, and we had a fun show today. I missed a couple shows. I think I missed two. Nick, you held down the fort last week. Great job, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I didn't listen. I know that sounds rude.
I don't think anyone else did either.
No, the people were listening. I looked at the numbers. They were listening, but I was told many times how good of a job you did. So great job. Today on the show, I think my favorite part of the show, and you can tell me, you can agree or disagree, was Olin back. He was gone for a week. It was good to get our guy back.
Yeah, like you said, a younger Olin because he shaved. But yeah, good to have him back. Always like Tom Hart too.
Tom Hart was great. Olin did the Apex Performance of the Week. We, a little Maverick / Aggie was one of the guys we talked about. We had Tom Hart on the program, as Nick mentioned right there. Chris Gordy, Locked on SEC. We talked about those Brian Kelly to Michigan rumors if Harbaugh leaves. A lot of good stuff. Justin Lanham breaking down Aggie hoops. That and more. Check out the Rewind now. Are you familiar with a young man by the name of Hayden Hefner?
Yes, I am. From Nederland.
Nederland, 24 points, a career high, 7 of 14, 3 of 8, 2 rebounds. This young man went from, Hayden's getting in the game a couple years back, and he having some nice moments, right? And then what was it in the SEC tournament where he...
Yeah, against Arkansas. He went off like 2 years ago. I was there. I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Yeah, and then the next game, I believe he had a rough game.
Probably.
Yeah, where they showed his face, and he was not. And then last year, he really grew. This year, he's an integral piece to what they do.
Yeah, he's started most of the games.
I'm going to give you another one.
Okay.
I know that your son Quinn loves to watch the NBA.
He does.
And he likes the Mavericks, correct?
He loves the Mavericks.
I'm going to give you two Mavericks.
Okay, one of them's going to be Doncic.
Well, that was last night, yeah. Luka.
Okay.
But we'll get to Luka in a second. Let's do an Aggie first. Dexter Dennis for the Mavs. 17 minutes the other day, 18 points.
Oh, love it.
5 rebounds, 4 assists against the Houston Rockets. He's a two-way player, so he plays for the G League team and he plays for the Mavs. They call him up. And look, I remember day one telling you, OB, this guy looks like an NBA player.
He does.
And he is playing like one.
I think that was the game that my son told me the Mavericks had their top 3 players out that didn't play in that game.
Yeah, Rockets ended up winning, but
I'm glad to see that. Dexter's a good dude. In fact, most of those guys on the basketball team have been really good folks. So
I think many of you know this. Like, I am a Houstonian. Obviously, I love the Rockets, the Texans, the Astros, the Dynamo. Yes, but I have a special place for the Mavs. I probably watch more Mavs games than I watch Rocket games because I worked there for such a long time, and obviously having Dexter a part of the team makes it fun. And you mentioned Luka Doncic. 10,000 career points after 50 yesterday in a Mavs win. All right, let's talk about the current state of Aggie hoops. You weren't here last week, so we didn't really get to talk about the U of H game together, but just where we are with a week before the new year, and was it January the 3rd or 4th or 5th, or I forget what day, but early January, they're taking on LSU to start SEC play. The current state of Aggie hoops in your mind?
Yeah, The U of H game, for me, you come down. Henry Coleman's got 2 free throws at the end of the game to tie that game, right? And you had already tied the game, and then they go back up, and you got a chance there with about 5-6 seconds to tie it. And to me, honestly, I know some people are probably not going to love this answer, but that's all you can ask for against a team like U of H. You give yourself a chance to win. Now, we didn't give ourselves a chance to win in the first half of what we did and how we played and how slow we started out. But luckily, Wade Taylor, has the one of his best games and just really impacted the game that way. The only thing that I will say that I don't love right now about where we're at is I don't love that some of these games, it feels like we're having to rely on somebody going off like Wade Taylor did in that game. And I just don't think that's consistent. You can't rely on that from game to game. Wade Taylor, we know what he's capable of. We know he's capable of doing stuff like that. But for me, I just don't want to have to rely on that game in and game out. And right now, it just kind of feels like that's what we're having to rely on. There's not much consistency offensively. It doesn't seem like we know what we're going to get, who's going to go off, who's going to play well. And so that's kind of where I am right now. Defensively, I'll be honest, looking back in the years past, I felt like we sped teams up a little bit more. We made them play faster. We kind of impacted the game defensively. And it's not that we're a terrible defensive team right now, but I just don't really feel like we're really impacting the game on either side. We're good enough to stay in these games, right? But I just don't really feel like we're we have necessarily the edge on one side or the other when we're playing some of these teams.
It's the last game of the Jimbo era, but it's not really the Jimbo era. It's the Elijah Robinson era. Mike Elko's influence probably isn't there, yet he is the head coach. He's getting the talent for next year. There's a lot of players not playing in this one. When you see, how much interest is there for you in this Texas Bowl against Oklahoma State?
There's always interest. I love every bowl game. I think, I'm intrigued by what happens. I remember back, somebody can fact check me on this, but I believe it was the final game of the Sumlin era, the Music City Bowl, and it may have been against Lamar. I did the Music City Bowl like 3 out of 4 years, so my opponents get mixed up here a little bit. And I think Jake Hubenek started the game. Like, they're down to nobody at quarterback, and the question was like, well, who's going to play in this game? And that was before the portal was the portal, right? So yeah, I'm intrigued. I will watch. I want to see what Ollie Gordon does. I think he's an elite running back, and it's fascinating to me that they were able to hold on to him going forward into next year. I think that was just announced today or yesterday, so that's good. But David, who's going to play for A&M?
Still trying to figure that out. I mean, defense is a little thin, right? You got some guys going to the NFL. No Edge Cooper, right? That's a problem. Your cornerbacks are going to be super young. I think your offensive line is pretty much retained outside of Layden Robinson going into the NFL draft. You get Chase Masantas back there. Your running backs in and out of both practices, but they're all there. No Evan Stewart, but Moose Muhammad, who I thought needed a bigger role this past season, is going to get that opportunity along with All-Day Walker, Ja'Day Walker. So, look, there's a lot of players not playing, which just makes it interesting to like kind of gauge the kind of team you have, especially knowing that Oklahoma State's such a good running the football. A&M was really good at stopping the run, but they don't have a lot of those players on the defensive line anyway, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Well, you hit the key word, and I hate to sound like a coach here, but the key word is opportunity, and we see it every bowl season.
A&M's got not many players coming back, right? There's a lot of players going to the NFL, or at least starters, I should say. Some people in the portal. You got Oklahoma State. I think they're bringing most of their team.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Is everybody I've talked to, around Oklahoma State says that, that they're coming in and treating us like they want to win. And so it's going to be difficult. Like, it's going to be like a road environment because there's going to be a crap ton of A&M fans there, and that's the fun part. Full disclosure, Texas Bowl, they've done advertising with me on 790 and our Locked On SEC podcast, and been a part of that bowl game the last couple of years. It's been so much fun. I mean, last year Ole Miss brought a huge crowd, and then Texas Tech just absolutely took the air out of the building in the first quarter and never looked back. And Lane Kiffin looked like he was in over his head in that game. I wonder how much A&M can do the whole rally around, everybody like, okay, this guy's out. Come on, guys, let's go give it our best. That only takes you so far. Ultimately, talent does have to win. But again, I think they'll have the home field advantage. I think there's going to be, probably 70-30, I'd say, Aggie fans in the stadium. And so hopefully a lot of Ag fans get out there and tailgate and come, just come have some fun, have some beers, cheer your head off, and let's see what they can do. Because I actually thought Elijah Robinson had a tremendous game plan in the LSU game. Like, they said, oh, Jaden Daniels, Heisman Trophy winner, let's just keep moving the chains, methodical, run clock, and shorten this game up and see if we can't get out of here with a victory. And first half, it was great. And then, of course, second half kind of got away from them. But I do think they're going to put in a good game plan. We'll see what they can do.
Talking to Chris Gordy here on TexAgs Radio. All right, you mentioned Lane Kiffin, the Portal King that he calls himself. He's killing it. He's got a great squad coming back next year. They get Walter Nolan. How good of a fit is that? And what do you think about that whole ordeal?
Look, I think, contrary to what Alabama fans will tell you, Pete Golding is a really good defensive coordinator. And I know Alabama fans have these high expectations of, no, we should be holding teams to 3 points a week and all this kind of stuff. He did a pretty damn good job at Alabama. I understand it wasn't perfect.
Nick, getting closer and closer to 14,000 subscribers. What should the people do if they're listening right now?
Well, you got to subscribe, first of all, if you're not already. Like, comment, turn the notification bell on, share with your friends. And yeah, please keep watching.
Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.